It's another Manly Monday, and this Manly Monday, we are going to talk about, is it strong or is it stupid? And this is going to touch on some more comments about respect, notably self-respect when dealing with others. And thank you, commenter, for asking for more of that. Happy to oblige. Whenever somebody says, I really like this, please give me more, I listen to that more than 20 negative comments, because if one person wants more, all right, awesome. And this does matter. I mean, Thursday night was the longest political president nomination speech in U.S. history. 92 minutes. 92 minutes. And some people would say, oh, look at the stamina he has. He talked for 92 minutes. But after the first 20, it was just IQ dropping. And the only way you like what he did there is if you agree with him on the doom and gloom. And in this age where we are arguing stamina above wisdom, it is very important to talk about whether it is truly strength or whether it's stupidity. If you like this content, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it working through stuff like this, coffee.com/LeannaK. Both your methods of support get you access to the Discord, to our Discord server, where we have really cool conversations about stuff like this. It's a really great group of people. So yeah, this idea of projecting strength personified by Trump pausing for 9 seconds to put his fist in the air after somebody shot at him. That's stupid. And there seemed to be this period of, oh, that's it, he won the election. And then people actually started thinking about it. And then, of course, the same people who were like, oh, he won the election, were like, how did the Secret Service let him do it? They're inept. There's women there. And how do you stop the candidate from doing something ill-advised like that? At the end of the day, it's his life. He has to decide what he does with it. If he wants to risk it for a photo op, you can advise him, but not force him. And this idea of women shouldn't be Secret Service agents because they're not tall or physically strong enough in the age of high-powered rifles is just ludicrous. It's the planning and the prevention of things like that that really matters. Once there's actually been an attempt, all that piling on him and everything like that, it's mostly theater. Yes, it's training. Yes, it minimizes the potential. It makes him a smaller target and makes him harder to see. Yes, but, he undid all of that with that fist in the air with the blinking upside down flag in the background photo op. He undid all of the good that very theatrical maneuver did. If there had been a second shooter, fortunately there wasn't. What Trump did in that moment was stupid. It was not strong. And he did something stupid intending to portray strength. Now, this is why Trump's a good politician. I'll give Trump this. These stupid moments that, people who know what's going on will go, that was really stupid. But most people don't know details like this. So they think, oh, he was so tough. He was so strong. He wasn't scared. I guarantee you he was scared. That was just muscle memory from rally after rally after rally and being a bully all his life and doing television. And that's the way he's wired to do that ridiculous bravado stuff. And the reason things like that are so dumb is, one person already died in that event. If you give a shooter another target, you risk more people who came to see you becoming, and I hate this term, collateral damage. This is an example of something that's intended to show strength that is actually stupid. And this is on Manly Monday because, let's face it, the is it smart or is it stupid actions definitely line up more with conventional masculinity. I know this because I am prone to unladylike behavior where I act like a butthead because various elements of my upbringing that essentially forced me to act bigger than I was because I was in an unwinnable situation in terms of everybody being rational actors. And this is what, I talk about some of the ridiculous things I did when I was younger, not because I'm proud of it, just to go, look, I understand. I understand when sometimes bravado can prevent someone taking another swing at you. I survived, I think it was grade 4, by being such a freak that, the bigger kids who would otherwise pick on us gifted kids, I was so freaky that they wouldn't come near me. And other kids started copying me doing that because we were left alone. And so I get it, but you gotta know how to turn that on and off, right? You gotta turn the fight response off when it's disrupting your life. And unfortunately, a lot of institutionalized sexism encourages men to behave in self-destructive ways to show how strong and tough they are. And this is where we get into, what the manosphere calls disposable male syndrome. And the original video I was going to do today is how, society pits men and women against each other by convincing both that the other is the faction of humanity that society truly cares about. And it hits differently, right? Because women are encouraged to be indirect. And it's a combination of, oh, it's unladylike, and oh, it's not nice, but also, oh, you'll bruise his ego. And men are encouraged to develop that ego. And ego has two meanings. One is the, false confidence. That's the colloquialism. But ego is also referring to our constructed identity. The labels and boxes and frameworks we put around who we are. And everybody has one. And there is a healthy amount of ego. There is a healthy level of, this is who I am. This is what I'm not. This is what I want to be. This is what I don't want to be. And if you start pushing me away from what I want to be and towards what I don't want to be, you've been warned you're going to get my bad side. That is healthy. And so I don't really like male ego being used as a pejorative with an eye roll by a lot of women because it's a very real and complex thing. And it's really interesting to be reading, songs type of book, these romanticy books, compared to the stuff I normally consume. You guys who have watched my Twitch have seen me make a ton of A Court of Thorn and Roses references while I'm playing Elden Ring. My worlds are colliding. But it's very interested to see the depiction of male ego and how it's handled so very differently. in media targeted at men and media targeted at women. And in media targeted at men, it's sort of this, I got to be real careful here. It's this thing nobody likes and everybody recognizes you have to do. I mean, God, I do it. I put false bravado on to do this because, well, I'm happiest if I can just stay quiet and think. I don't really feel the need to talk a lot of the time. Yeah, I know. I mask real well. But, you know, putting on a show is a real thing. And I was so shy as a kid that my mother put me in performance to try to bring me out of my shell because I was so profoundly introverted. I'm still profoundly introverted, but I've made a career out of it. I guess go mom. It doesn't come naturally to me, and I think that's why I understand this stuff, because it is all constructed. And so, you know, maybe that's part of the reason I enjoy the male-dominated stuff. No, I was into it before that. I mean, earliest memories are things like, if there was an alien in it, E.T., you know, right there. If there was a freaky alien in it, I was sold. One of my favorite movies as a kid was The Black Hole. I know. I know. Secret of Nim. Love that movie too. The Dark Crystal. Labyrinth. Of course, I wasn't picking up the same things then as I do now. I showed my husband The Never-Ending Story, the movie, once. He'd never seen it, wasn't aware of the book, and he's like, this is awful when everything's dying. And I'm like, it was the 80s? This was normal? Transformers, the movie, man. Even Thundercats was kind of dark when you think about it. Like, but we were all sort of doing the Cold War bravado thing of, hey, we all may get nuked, woo, right? And that's a very different socialization than kind of awkward chic or anxiety chic that we see among young adults now. Of, it makes you uncomfortable, things that make you uncomfortable. This makes me uncomfortable. Like, we would not have dared said that in the late 80s, early 90s, because that was when the feeding frenzy would descend on us. Oh, it makes you uncomfortable? Now we know how to get to you. And I think that a happy medium is somewhere in between. A tolerance of discomfort is a good thing, but there are times and places where somebody, you know, feeling a little uncomfortable, okay. Constantly being extremely uncomfortable, different story. Enough about my search for a good bra. This is Manly Monday. But there's a generational as well as gender thing here, right? Because in many ways, masculinity has been constricting instead of femininity opening up. The demonization of femininity by feminist movements, you know, She-Ra needing shorts. There's only one type of woman that's seen as acceptable or ideal at any given time, as opposed to if you look at, you know, if you just look at Marvel, because there's only ever one or two women in those superhero teams, and they're all supposed to be the girl power stuff, which is why every time the boys goes, girls get it done, I laugh. But, you know, Iron Man is very different from the Hulk, is very different from Thor, is very different from Spider-Man, and so on and so forth. But as certain of those male archetypes become problematic, masculinity is narrowing. And I think the very cartoonish MAGA strength has been a reaction to that, because we've gotten rid of the healthy aspiration to want to protect the people we care about. this is one of those things that's lumped into, a term I don't say anymore, toxic masculinity. And I disagree that it's unhealthy. Wanting to protect the people you love. I mean, God, look at how many stories involve a mother protecting their children. It's not an inherently masculine thing, but we've treated any desire to protect people and get a little recognition for the sacrifices inherent in that as a bad desire. The whole damsel in distress thing, which I really think needs a rethink, but that's what I'm doing in Song of Sparkle Muffin. But that's the thing. That's healthy. It's how you go about it, right? It's when you cross over from, I want to be a protector, to being a bully. And that's where the strong versus stupid test really comes in to play. And that's why that, am I respecting myself with how I'm behaving here? And am I respecting other people accordingly? That's the difference between strong and stupid. We're watching two very different older men display things of strength right now. Joe Biden fending off really, really wow attacks from his own party. And, he's going to weather it or he's not. Either way, I think he's shown a lot of strength and a lot of dignity while he's been pummeled for weeks. He had a bad debate, but so did Obama. Trump had numerous bad debates. Look at the reviews of Trump's speech in places even like the New York Times that have become more friendly to him in recent years. Even the people that said the speech helped him said, well, he lied and he grandstanded and he was incoherent at times, but great stamina, right? If you want to make the stamina argument comparison, like longer bad sex, is that better than shorter bad sex? I censored a really off-color joke there. It's having a lot of energy isn't necessarily a good thing. Ask anybody who's been manic. And I do think Trump goes into mania sometimes. 92 minutes, guys. 92 minutes. It's too long. P.T. Barnum said the mind can absorb what the seat can endure. Frankly, anything more than 20 minutes is too long. Apparently, people were leaving because he was so far over time. And at the end, they played, I forget what the first song they played was. The music choices have been really weird at the RNC. They played The Heart Part 6 as Trump's intro music on the first night. And I was like, what? And the day after, Drake's mansion flooded. It was so like Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen. It is 2024, butterfly effect thing. But they played Nessun Dorma, which is a tenor aria from a Puccini opera. And Nessun Dorma means none shall sleep. And it is literally the story of a man who has to pass a series of cognitive tests to marry a woman who hates him as much as she loves him. That's what Nessun Dorma is about. But it's a powerful opera, right? Pavarotti sang it at, what was it, like the World Cup or something like that? It's just, that whole thing, it's opera. It's the opera song. It's more opera than opera. It's strength. And that's probably all they cared about. Not meaning, not the jokes that people like me were going to make afterwards, because none shall sleep. Yep, that's most people between now and November. Stress is real. But his people love it. They love the bravado. They love the stupid. Because the idea is he can say anything he wants and no one can stop him. But that's not good. Because that means he's a bully. And that means he ends up looking stupid more often than he needs to. You do not want to be surrounded by yes men all the time. Whenever a moderator or a facilitator pushes back on me, I am happy. Because one, it shows me they trust me enough to do that. But also it means there's a functioning system that they've got my back. And they're telling me when they think I'm making a mistake. And I can't follow their advice all the time. But I do appreciate them giving it to me. Because that's a functioning team. That's strength. We are stronger together because they will tell me when they think something's going off the rails or they see potential problems. I love when someone tells me they see a potential problem because that's the best time to prevent a problem. And we have discussions and we end up making better decisions. And some people would take issue with this. I mean, on the Discord, me and the moderators, we disagree on topics all the time. And that's good because I want people to see, first of all, if the moderators will disagree with me, then they can disagree with the moderators. We're all just another person unless, we actually have to tell somebody, hey, you got to do this differently. And a lot of the mod calls we make are more Discord security things because there's a lot of bullshit that goes on Discord than anything. But I like that back and forth. I want to encourage actual debate, not the bullshit that passes for debate on the internet now, where two people are smacking against each other, like, rams in mating season, like, boom, like, they're just calling each other names and yelling at each other and saying, that's ridiculous and that's stupid. You want to make me not listen to you, start our response with, that's ridiculous, or that's stupid, or that makes no sense, instead of leading with a question. Because the worst teachers I ever had, the worst bosses I ever had, led with an insult. The absolute best mentors, both as educators and as, work mentors, led with a question. Why do you think that? What led you to that perspective? And then, they lead you, what about this? What about this? And they allow you to see your own mistake instead of rubbing your nose in it. That is strength of intellect. That is strength of character. That is strength of resolve. And that is a heck of a lot of respect for both me, but they also have enough confidence in themselves as an educator, as a leader, as a mentor, to not have to go, I am strong. And that's one of the hardest things when you are a young woman in a position of so-called authority, because you're not assumed to have any. I was managing people from the age of 21 years old. And oh God, it sucked because people wouldn't listen and there was no institutional backup. And so I had to be a bitch and I had to be prepared to get yelled at, literally yelled at later. But the greater point was, you listen to me now. I'll damn the torpedoes later. But the greater point is, you listen to me now. When it's a hot set, someone can get hurt if you're not listening when there's a big old jimmy jib or a steady cam coming through. Serious injuries can happen. I've had them. I've gotten hit with those devices. It hurts. It can crack bones. And what's funny is I had been teaching choreographing from the age of 14. I was a tap dance prodigy. Yeah, a tap dance prodigy. I couldn't get something cool like piano. No, 5, 6, 7, 8, la di da. Yeah, okay. But I was teaching at the age of 14. I was in classes with girls about 5 years older than me. Actually, it was older than that because I started when I was 12. I started teaching when I was 14. So I was used to people listening because there it was like, no, you listen to her. She's a teacher. She's a choreographer, right? And so I get into what I thought was more professional. Oh, hell no. Because they had degrees from, well, we can't call it Ryerson anymore, Toronto Metropolitan University. And the people who came out of that school thought their shit didn't stink. And they didn't know fuck about how to really do things in real life conditions. And so, I did things then that I wouldn't do now because I have more institutional power in the environment now. And I have a lot more confidence. And I'm much more prepared to walk away because I'm more established and now I can go, I don't need this. I was in a position of weakness then. So I acted more rah, Now I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. And I certainly don't want to create an environment for anybody that I'm putting in middle management, like a moderator, where they have to do that. If anybody's going to be the bad guy on something, it's going to be me. And I do notice that because they're not expected to, the moderators step up and they are more assertive than somebody would be if they thought somebody could put a wedge between us. It was a learning process at first for people who were used to different ways of doing it on Discord. But it's really good now. And that is the difference between managing smart instead of me being so very interested in being strong. And that is something I had to unlearn from upbringing. I hit a higher socioeconomic bracket, and because things are so different in Afro-Caribbean communities, I had no idea what sexism was until I got into nice upper class white people spaces. Like, no, seriously. We're talking about, hip hop and reggae. And this is why I love Megan Thee Stallion and problematic artists like Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. They're allowed to exist as Meg says, ratchet, bougie, classy. They can be all those different things at different times. That's the whole point of Lizzo letting it all hang out. Like, there is something in Black spaces that is amazing there. That, oh my God, when you're raised in that and you have to code switch, it sucks, man. Because I got so much more respect in that Jane Finch environment from everybody than I ever did in big fancy television. And so I miss it. And every time I have a chance to go back into that, I'm like, yes, it is not that those communities don't have their problems, right? Poverty is a huge problem, but it does do some things. There are other things there that we can learn from. And there were a lot of people being stupid, trying to be strong, hence the gangs, hence the violence, hence the drugs, right? Hence the unsafe sex. And that's why we got it drilled into our heads. Don't be dumb. Don't slip up. And there's too much pressure on Black youth and youth who came up in majority Black neighborhoods. And again, if we can find the in-between there of creating environments that reward smart instead of, smart strong instead of stupid strong. That's the sweet spot. And you notice I said environments. Because I don't blame men for doing this. I will push back really hard. I will run up one side of your head and down the other because I know how, but I do not blame people. And that's the respect thing, right? I respect somebody enough to go hard on them when they are being stupid, trying to be strong, because you will not out asshole me. I'm a tough motherfucker. And when people say, oh, you're so different on Twitter or something like that, it's like, yeah, because it's a different environment. I don't ever start it. Other people do. I am not going to be a pushover for the sake of being nice. That's just not me. I'm not good at it. Other people are great at it. I'm not. And that's why I understand this strong versus stupid thing. And if somebody wants to come at me stupid, trying to be strong, I am very good at that game. That's the point. Don't do that. It's not going to get you anywhere with me. And I think if more people with platforms actively discouraged stupid and actively encourage true strength based in common respect and confidence, the internet would be a lot better place. Our norms would be different. I'm actually missing old school trolling, where there were certain ethics and rules. And in some ways they were really like, what? That's sophistry. But at least there were rules other than the current, well, bullying has a purpose. It establishes a social hierarchy. That's fucking stupid. It's stupid. Merit should establish a social hierarchy. The best ideas, not the biggest assholes, should rise. Assholes can't rise. They're always down in your butt, right? It'll never get higher than your butt because it's an asshole. I'm rambling. But you know what I mean, right? We need to collectively, and this is what they actually mean when it's like men have to police other men, but it's terrible fucking language. It doesn't start with going, hey man, cut it out. It starts with you. It starts with the behavior you model. Instead of calling out other people, it's like, I choose not to do that. And I do that a lot. Other people have styles that I don't use. And when somebody says, people use the word bitch, I don't like the word, but I'm not afraid of the word. But I really appreciate when somebody says, I know you don't like the word. I'm like, go ahead and say it. It's like respect, right? And that is how we create supportive communities in general, but especially communities where men feel empowered to truly be smart instead of stupidity masquerading as strength. It's about respect for yourself that then becomes an extension of yourself through respect for others. Respect is earned, which is why self-esteem is a process. It's built. Nobody's born with it. But you can do it. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who uses it but can't afford it. Who we're working through this stuff. We're building the self-respect. Coffee.com/LeannaK. My business is primarily male, guys. So help a brother out, literally. Thanks for watching. Manly Mondays.